The channel. Today I'll show you how Drew Brees and Michael Thomas broke 2 records in just 8 days. Unfortunately, I do not have access to NFL game tape. Therefore, I'll use 2 pictures to dissect the plays that led them to rewrite NFL history. Let's start with Drew Brees. So over here, it's first and goal at the Colts 5-yard line. The idea here is simple. Just run an HB dive up the middle, let Latavius Murray grind out for 5 yards, and then they'll score a touchdown. Simple. So they have a 5-man protection here as well as this tight end over here, who could function as a 6th blocker. He could be a chip blocker who chips and then he runs, or he could be a foot adjusted route runner. So the idea here is so he's really the X factor here that the Colts have to consider. These guys over here, they look fully ready to block out these 2 guys. So in full support of the run play. Most importantly, there's Zach Klein over here. He's the biggest indication of a run play here. Or at least the biggest reason why the coach should believe it's a run play, and it's also the way that the Saints can exploit that side that thought. Sorry. So over here, the idea is that he runs up the middle to create a hole, and then Latavius Murray just follows suit inside. Simple enough. But the Saints do want Drew Brees to get the touchdown record after all, and so. Instead, they do have this guy as a chip blocker, so he chips and then he runs. In this play, these 2 guys are going to run some sort of a route, and then they're free to run any type of route against given this a little amount of space, and then they're both incredibly difficult to guard one-on-one. And then there's Latavius Murray over here. He could catch a screen pass over here. Drew Brees rotates, he catches a screen pass, and then he can take it to the house. And that's the same case for Zach Klein as well. And so the idea here is to fool the Colts into thinking it's run as much as possible, and that's exactly what they do. So 3 of these guys, they're zoned in on the center of the offensive line, just waiting for either Zach Klein or Latavius Murray to run up the middle, and then they'll pounce and tackle him short of the sticks for a second and goal. Then these 4 guys are pass rushers, so their job is obviously to attempt to disrupt Drew Brees' handoff, or if it's actually a pass play, to disrupt the pass play. These guys, they're ready to either deflect the pass or they're ready to shut blocks. Number 37 over here, he's interesting. So his role on this play is to take out Latavius Murray. So imagine if you were in Drew Brees' shoes. Imagine if you saw these 3 linebackers, you probably wouldn't go with halfback dive again. As the actual play. So he might change the play at the line. You might change the play at the line of scrimmage to maybe going on this side of the field. So taking, so maybe a pitch or a halfback toss. So around this side of the field, and so for Murray to take advantage and around the corner to go to the end zone. So 37 over here, he's ready to adjust for that play change, or potentially just tackle Latavius Murray if he were to catch a screen pass over here. And there's this final free safety over here. He's loitering on this half of the field. He's ready as to be a 3rd defender and deflect the pass should Drew Brees throw it over there. So the Colts felt that they had the play figured out, and it seemed like they did. Zach Klein moved up in the middle. Drew Brees seemed to be handing it off to Latavius Murray. These 3 linebackers, oh man, they were ready to stop the play. And then these 4 pass rushers, they were gaining some ground. And this guy, he rotated over here to take down Murray. These guys were following the 2 receivers, and he was rotating. Everything seemed fine until they realized they forgot to account for him. So this tight end over here, he isn't a full-time blocker. He chip blocks as one of the 3 scenarios I previously mentioned. So he chip blocks on pass rusher number 99, and then he slides over here. So Drew Brees, so this play essentially frees these 3 linebackers into their place, ready to take out the middle of the field over here. And then number 37, he's rotating over here after he realizes it isn't a running play, but that leaves him wide open. That leaves this number 82 wide open to just go to the end zone, and that's exactly how the play turned out. So he chip blocked, and then Terran Armstead rotated over to take care of this blocker. He rotated over after realizing that it wasn't a run play. So to try to take out Latavius Murray, who did rotate over here as a potential screen pass option. These guys were running their routes. He was over there. So essentially, they rendered this half of the field useless. These three guys, the four pass rushers didn't have a chance against five and technically six blockers. He was rendered useless in the backfield, and so it was all down to just one guy, just Drew Brees and his connection. So he slides up here with nobody within 5 yards of him, and then he just catches an easy touchdown. Easy touchdown pass for Drew Brees with good protection and an uncontested pass. He eventually realizes it and he runs back, but it's way too late. Drew Brees has passing touchdown number 540. All right, now let's move on to Michael Thomas's play. So over here, it's 2nd and 9. Saints lead by 3 with 3 minutes left in the game. So over here, so let's think from the perspective of the Titans here. So the Titans obviously want to force the Saints into into taking a field goal, because if they were to score a touchdown, it's game over. Now it's at the 14-yard line. So they do decide to play very conservatively. After all, you can see how much space these two defenders leave the receivers, and these three defenders leave the receivers, and how far back the safety is to prevent any potential big play. Now they aren't concerned here about trying to sack Drew Brees, because that's not the point. Their point is to try to retreat and try to recover and make the tackle short of the sticks. So they only sent 3 rushers here. This fourth linebacker over here, he acts like he's on a blitz, but instead he's actually over here shadowing Logan Ryan's target. Logan Ryan's assignment, who is, after all, the league's leading receiver, Michael Thomas. And so he essentially takes out any potential route Thomas runs into the middle of the field, which is a very comfortable route for him, and forces him to the boundaries. Now that's not a problem, but obviously they want to take away the middle. Over here there are 3 defenders. He will take Jared Cook for just a second and then rotate over here to stop Kamara on a screen pass, which is the only real play over here. If Kamara were the blocker, or since Kamara isn't a blocker and definitely isn't gonna receive a handoff. And then these two guys, their job is to stand Jared Cook, which is a fatal mistake, because if anything, you don't take Jared Cook with 2 guys. He's big, but after all, this is Michael Thomas we're talking about. I mean, if anyone's gonna get double teamed, it's Michael Thomas first and foremost. But they're trying to be very conservative here with only 3-man rush and then 3 guys on each side, and then multiple guys on each side of the field trying to make the tackle short of sticks. Now let's consider from the Saints' perspective. It's 2nd and 9, so they can afford to go for a couple short pass plays over here and try to milk the clock as much as possible. It's 3:14 left, and the Titans don't have any timeouts, so they're content with these short passing plays. So what happens here is the Titans thought they locked down Michael Thomas. It's man coverage. They're playing press, and then there's this guy over here. He could shadow, and then he takes away this any route bending inwards. But they didn't think about any route bending outwards, where this safety is far too. There's absolutely no time for the safety to rotate over here before Thomas can just get over here and then he can shake off Logan Ryan and then just go over here, and then he has a clear path to the end zone. So that's just about exactly what happened. Drew Brees had a perfect pocket. Kamara came over here. Jared Cook ran a route. This man rotated over here to try to stop Kamara. These 2 guys remained on Jared Cook. Zach Klein ran his route. This guy ran his route. And then Michael Thomas. Okay, so this is what it's all down to. So Thomas against Logan Ryan one-on-one. So this guy does eventually act as a shadow, but he's not much of a factor here. So Thomas runs over here, stir steps, and then he fakes to the right. So Logan Ryan, at this point, he should understand that Thomas is not stupid. He won't run into Thomas's right side, or in Logan Ryan's case, his left side, because there is this linebacker after all. There's no point in running to a defender. And so, but he didn't realize in time, and then he fell for the fake. He lost his balance. And the more fatal mistake was that while Thomas was running, he faked right and then he went left. He turned around and went left. Logan Ryan was still focused on Drew Brees, which is just stupid because why? That's just stupid because Brees and Thomas have an utterly unbelievable connection. Brees doesn't have to look at Thomas for them to be able to connect on a pass. And so Logan Ryan, he stumbles. So if you stumble, that's fine, but you gotta recover. And so he not only doesn't recover, not only does he stumble, but he also doesn't recover. He looks at Drew Brees, whose eyes are obviously lying, and then he just throws an absolute dart to Michael Thomas. This linebacker here he shadowed for a second, and then he's trying to come over here for some reason. Not sure why, because obviously it's way too late to blitz, and Kamara isn't running up the middle or anything. So not really. So no idea what this linebacker was really doing here on this play. So eventually Thomas just shook him off, and then he went, and then he caught a 13-yard ball that landed them at the 1-yard line. And that is how Michael Thomas and Drew Brees broke NFL records.